African-American, Muslim, converts, descendants of slaves. We're all the same in Islam. But people, different civilizations, different people have different particular issues that pertain to them. Some things for all the Muslims, but some things is for those Muslims over there. And the Prophet taught religion like that. That's why they loved the Prophet. One of the reasons they loved the Prophet, he understood the different ways of the Arab tribes. He understood their dialects. He go, these people, they like this. These people like this. Uthman ibn Affan, also the righteous caliphs recognize that. Right? Imam al-Qurtubi says, knowledge is two things. An-nusus and tajriba. An-nusus is textual evidence. This is the kitab, this is sunnah, this is the law, this is sharia. That's the nusus. We govern our lives to the best of our abilities by the nusus, by the sharia. We're people of sharia. Deen is sharia. Deen is law. That's the one way knowledge is acquired. The second way is tajriba. Tajriba is trial and error. So what happens is, when you have a Muslim people, a new civilization, because this is a new civilization of Muslims in America. We're Muslim like everybody else, but it's a new civilization. Sometimes civilizations are new, sometimes they're older. In Egypt, that's an old civilization in Islam. Hundreds of years. Syria, hundreds of years of Islam. There is no hundreds of years of Islam amongst Muslims here. It's new. And during the time of the Prophet, the civilization was new also. You're making a change from your abad. You're developing a new system of abad, a new generational flow. There was a generational flow of Jahiliyyah. In fact, one of the arguments they used to have for the Prophet, إِنَّا وَجَدْنَا آبَاءَنَا عَلَى أُمَّةٍ وَإِنَّا عَلَى آثَارِهِمْ الْمُقْتَدُونَ. We find our forefathers doing that. That's what we're doing. We're doing what we've been taught. So you have to pivot when you have a new civilization, and it takes a lot of work. It's different than you have generations of Islam. We got 10 sheikhs in our, my grandfather was a sheikh, my cousin's a sheikh. I ain't gotta be the sheikh. We got somebody in the family who knows deen. But when you're starting new, you're trying to establish a deen. The responsibility is totally different. During the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they were starting new. One thing they had going for them is you had the tribal system. If your chief became Muslim, everybody Muslim. People would come and take shahada the Prophet. Okay, I take shahada. Okay, I'm the chief. They all gonna be Muslim. Because when I get back, it's not like that in America. The families are different. We're structured different. Individuality is what's held high here in the United States. We're not going to argue about the pros and cons of that, but it's different if you're trying to navigate the deen, because you have to navigate the deen. Deen requires navigation if you want it to be beneficial in the long run for you. Somebody got to navigate it, right? Allah says, "Shara alakum min ad-dini ma wassa bihi Nuha, walladhi awhayna ilayka, wa ma wassayna bihi Ibrahima wa Musa wa Isa an aqimu ad-dina wa la tatafarraqu fihi." Allah says He had legislated for you of this religion what He has advised to Noah and what He has revealed to you, speaking to the Prophet ﷺ, and what He has advised to Ibrahim and Musa and Isa, which was an Aqimu Dina or Lata Tafaraqu Fi. Establish the deen and don't be separated. Real basic. Islam is so basic. The program of Islam to make it work for you is so basic. But one thing that's important is generational continuity of the faith. Generational continuity of the faith means that you are Muslim, alhamdulillah, but you ensure that your children are Muslim and understand the basis of Islam. Basics. Sometimes that's all they're going to get, but that's enough. We know by experience, we know in America by experience, by trial and error, that if you take your child and you put him around the Muslims enough, now I don't mean every day, maybe he ain't in Quran class, maybe all he gets is the last 10. Last 10 surahs. You'd be surprised how many adults, not just here, around the world, all they got, last 10. When I was young, we got the last 10. Qul Allahu Ahad. I know how it makes a lot better. So when they get older and they face this, alhamdulillah, they know the basic. Because that's enough to keep them afloat, right? Now, if you do more than that, if you teach them, you come Hafiz, send them to school, that's great, fantastic. But the basic is, the Prophet said, Maru awladakum bis-salati wa hum abna'a sab'a. Teach your children how to pray when they are 7 years old. Spank them for not praying if they reach 10 years old. Right? Each ummah has a certain set responsibility to adhere to this covenant that we have, is being Muslim. You're under covenant. It's a covenant. And when you're a new generation of people, that covenant is even more important because you may be the only one holding on to that covenant. You may be the only one in your family Muslim. I'm the only one. So so the parents have responsibility of maintaining the religion. The children have the right of being taught the religion. The children have a right on you that you teach them the religion to the degree that you can. Maybe you can't teach them all tafsir, fiqh, and all that kind of stuff. If you can, alhamdulillah. It's not always necessary. Especially when it gets to the second generation, third generation, fourth generation. It really ain't necessary then. Because the whole family know how to pray, because now I've been praying since 7. How you know how to pray? Because I've been praying. How you know how to fast? Because I've been fasting since I was 10 years old, man. What's not to eat? This. I've been in so many eats. As you do the deen, it becomes inculcated in your culture. That's why you see in many Muslims from different countries, you don't see everybody studying the deen like you do amongst African American Muslims. Here, everybody, the emphasis is studying the deen, and it's important. Because you got to study. Who knows? In most Muslim countries, just about all Muslim countries, the bulk of the people, they don't know fiqh. Like they just, I know, you pray like this, fast like this, that's haram, that's halal, the Eid is that day, you pray that way, so on. So this is the ruling of marriage, this is the ruling of divorce, that's how it is. I ain't got Dalil. My whole family been doing that for ages, man. There's sheikhs in our village that know how to. If you want to Dalil, go ask the sheikh at the masjid. I don't know the deal. What's the deal? I don't know, brother. I know this is how we do it because we practice Islam. We're taught how to practice it, and that's how Islam's supposed to work. During the time of the Prophet, everybody didn't study either. Like I said, they believed in the system of the tribe, the system of leadership, the system of having people in charge. In America, we don't believe nobody in charge. No. In America, amongst Muslims, and it's not totally our fault. People come into Islam on their own. Here. They're not coming in as groups. When you come in as groups, so the whole city, everybody in Germantown, we all take a shahada. Okay, right? Who's the chief of Germantown? So. One time I gave shahada to a gang, not the whole gang. No, but brother, they still Muslim. In this city, they all grown that big now. They was out there robbing and stealing, selling drugs, everything. And one of them I've been talking to, he said, Brother man, we all gonna take a shot on Thursday, man. He came in with 15 people, man. Wallahi. He said, man, give more shahada. Give more shahada right now, right? Gave it to him, and he's still Muslim. This is like they in 1990 something. You know, but that's not always the case. The case you come in, but So what you have to do when you're teaching the religion, like Allah says, تلك أمة قد خلت لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ولا تسألون عما كانوا يعملون. No, تلك أمة قد خلت. I can't remember. Take that. It says these are ummah that has already passed. These nations that have passed, because it's like you're running a race. Like we're carrying a baton. Each nation of Muslims, each community of Muslims, they're carrying a baton. Right? These are nations that have passed. For it, وَلَكُمْ مَا كَسَبَتْ وَلَكُمْ مَا كَسَبْتُمْ وَلَا تُسْأَلُونَ عَمَّا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. He says, these are nations that have passed. They'll get for what they did, and you won't get for what you do. But you won't be asked about what they did. Right? So when you're trying to navigate a Muslim civilization, and everybody not going to understand this, it's important that enough people understand it so it spreads. Most people are going to follow what they know. They'll follow what they perceive to be the truth, right? Which is why it's important that you shouldn't talk about, if you want to teach deen, teach basic. In fact, unless you really master a topic to a great degree where you can teach it thoroughly and you know the ins and outs of the topic, you shouldn't teach it, because tajriba, trial and error, has taught us, we've learned that we are people who are faddish. We like fads. We like new words, new concepts. New concepts come out. Well, yeah, I'm this. I seen people go through about 4 or 5 different. No, seriously. 4 or 5 different akidas in the time. You this, now 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 you this, and you come back to I'm just Muslim. Yeah, right? But that happens. That happens, especially with convert communities. Even during the time of the Tabi'in, that happened. Because during the time of the Prophet, it was striving too also. But a lot of that striving, it was fighting. You had people learning the religion. In fact, the verse we revealed in the Quran, there should be a group of people that stay behind. يَتَفَقَّهُوا فِي الدِّينِ. Most of the time, the Prophet fought in 84 battles. Abu Bakr, all of his cleavage was consumed with fighting. Because they were fighting to preserve the religion. The whole idea was preservation of the religion. That was the whole idea. The whole mission of the Prophet was tabligh al-risala, giving the message and preserving the religion. Allah himself, he preserved the Quran. Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidun. We sent down this remembrance and we shall guard over it. So that's a promise from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Kitabillah. Preserve the Quran. But preserving the religion is the duty of the Muslim. And there's different ways. Here in the United States, alhamdulillah, we ain't got to fight. I hope a time does not come that we have to be fighting, shooting, and stuff like that for our religion. If it happens, though, I'm down. No, the Prophet said, "La tatamannu liqa al-adu." Don't wish that you should meet the enemy. But if you meet him, but if you meet him, hold fast. But here in America, we're fighting on an ideological level. We're fighting programming. You're fighting, homosexual agenda, feminist agenda, materialistic agenda, nationalistic agenda. Sometimes you're fighting sectarianism within your own faith. You got to recognize what you're dealing with. So you know what you're dealing with during your time. During our time, we're dealing with those ideology. We're fighting with that cell phone. No, that's. I mean, I'm not just Muslims. People who aren't even Muslim, they're making laws and studies. You say, this is causing depression and so on, so anxiety. Okay, kids go crazy. They recognize it. One of the things that we don't do enough of, because we ain't talking flowery talk. Yeah. Listen, inshallah, we all go to Jannah. Okay, inshallah. But in the meantime, we're not in Jannah. We're not in hell. We're just in the dunya. So there's a method to how this Islam works. How it works for your generation is a methodology. It's laid out in Kitabillah. It's laid out in the Sunnah. But sometimes we don't get the whole understanding because we just get bits and pieces. That's why Al-Qurtubi says acquiring knowledge is through textual evidence and trial and error. Even amongst the Sahaba and the Tabi'in and the different Khulafa. Umayyad, Abbasi, mention one of them. Every generation must learn from what's going on. They learn. During the time of the Abbasids, they learn, man, listen. There's no taxes, there's no jizya on the Muslim. So cats was conquer last guy said, I'm Muslim, man. Rich guy, I'm Muslim. They was, we ain't collecting no taxes, So we had to be a little more stringent about who's Muslim, about collection of zakat, because the state needed money. They learn by experience. There's the laws. So we learn by experience that certain things, there's certain breakdown of when your kids' son gets broken down, get messed up. Usually at the time of divorce. For what I've seen, that's the time where that kids get lost in the sauce. Because now you're divorced. Right? So who got the kids? Most likely it's women. Not all the time. And I've seen sisters raising children, mashallah. There's single sisters who make sure their kids learn the deen. Many of them, Single brothers to make sure you learn anything. But a lot of times, after that love is gone, like that's after love is gone, right? Now you ain't in love with him no more. You ain't in love with her no more. I don't love you no more. I ain't love you, man. What? So the kids, the infants, because who will pay for the kids, which is important. Allah says, فَلْيُنْفِقْ ذُو سَعَةٍ مِنْ سَعَتِهِ وَمَنْ قُدِرَ عَلَيْهِ رِزْقُهُ فَلْيُنْفِقْ مِمَّا آتَاهُ اللَّهُ لَا يُكَلِّفُ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا إِلَّا مَا آتَاهَا. Let's let the one who has money talk about spending on children. This is what this verse was about. And so the talaq. فَلْيُنْفِقْ ذُو سَعَةٍ مِنْ سَعَتِهِ. Let the person who has money spend out of what he has. وَمَنْ قُدِرَ عَلَيْهِ رِزْقُهُ. And whoever Allah has made his sustenance light, restrained, and what he's going to give you, فَلْيُنْفِقْ مِمَّا آتَاهُ اللَّهُ. And spend out of what Allah has given you. لَا يُكَلِّفُ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا. Allah does not burden a soul except for what it has. That part of maintenance for the children. It's responsibility. You feed the kids, clothe the kids, house your kids to the degree that you're able. But what's more important, that you preserve Islam within your children. Seriously. I'll give you an example. You got millions and millions of Muslims right now as I'm standing on this minbar in Palestine, this place, 40,000 killed. They still dealing. In refugee camps, still dealing. They still get married and everything. Still having babies. Still. They ain't got no money. But they still preserving the Islam. Not to say Palestinians are better than any of the Muslims. All Muslim people do that. Because it's been taught in the culture that no matter what, this Islam gonna be running. Took my wife, took the house, took my money. Oh yeah, mashallah. Took my life, he's a martyr there. They be burning as martyrs too. Martyrs. We got 40,000 martyrs going on. Because they believe in the hereafter. So you just got to put your priorities in that kind of order in Islam. Yeah, hope man marry have money. Yeah, if it's alhamdulillah. And you don't have money if you got it halal, right? That's not the most important thing. Money is not the most important thing in his life. That's what the Prophet said, even in marriage. He said, إِذَا جَاءَكُمْ مَنْ تَرْضَوْنَ دِينَهُ وَخُلُقَهُ فَأَنكِحُوهُ وَإِنْ لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا تَكُنْ فِتْنَةٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَفَسَادٌ كَبِيرٌ. كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. He says, if a person comes to you and you like his deen and his khuluq, his character, marry him. Marry your love. Marry. If you don't do that, this is probably. He says, if you don't do that, there's going to be a whole bunch of fitna in the earth. And a lot of fasad. So, entering even into marriage, because by and large, not everywhere, and I'm not, nobody's perfect. I'm just saying we have to look at your own regional history of how things have been going down over the past half a century and start to say, hold up. Okay. That's just, everybody does that. Muslims can't live. Well, Muslims laugh. Muslims, yeah, we're the greatest. No. Muslims don't always win. And just because you got some dollars do not mean you're successful in Islam. My son, alhamdulillah, he making $500,000 a year. He got a house in the house, big house and so, big car. Do you know what's down here? But anyway, but he's successful? No, that is not success. I'm just saying it's wrong. Nothing wrong with the acquisition of wealth. But wealth, this dunya, is not valuable to Allah. We believe in the hereafter. We don't believe this life is all the life. I watched a movie the other day called Atlas. I watch movies. You know, someone's watching that movie. I'm saying. So the lady say, well, yeah, after this, it's just this life. After this life, it's over. He said, blame you, right? And I asked him, no, you still go on, you know. That was just one scene in the movie. But that's what they teach you. That's part of the programming. It's you know, nothing new. It's nothing new. People always have been programmed. Shaitan always been around. Families always have problems. You always have. But you have to I'm just saying, you have to make sure the seed is there. If you get divorced, talk about alimony. Okay, let's talk about how the kids going to continue learning this thing. That's why you marry people with taqwa. You marry women with taqwa, and it didn't work out, mashallah. She thinking, okay, who's going to teach the kid? Because my kids learn deen. You marry a man with taqwa, okay. And make it kids still. And I know couples who have been divorced, and still they together on their kids, boy. Kids learn. That's why you marry someone who is deen. That's what the Prophet says. The best type of wife is the one who has taqwa. If you can, because it's rare, it's scarce. It's scarce. So when Shaitan said, because one of the goals of Shaitan is to remove the religion from the people. That's what he wants. Ain't no big deal to him. It's so when you live in the dunya, especially in America. America's a great country. I basically love America. I love it. I'm born and raised here, man. My kids are here. I want them to happen too. I want good for the country, man. I don't follow the idea. Yes, it's destroy America. You don't never call for the destruction of some place you live in there. I'm just saying. That's that. Because we do a lot of stupid Islam stuff in the name of Islam, and we've learned. We've learned through experience. This stuff ain't working. Some stuff's straight wrong. We learn through experience that we don't listen to every fatwa coming from abroad. Hold up. You got to vet the fatwas. There's people amongst us who are able to vet that fatwa. Ain't like we've been studying all these years. We got so many people who study the religion, especially in Philly. So we shouldn't still be on the fact, well, if it's foreign, it's true. This foreign is no, that's not true. Nobody has a monopoly on this deen. Nobody has a monopoly on understanding the deen. Nobody. Nobody has that monopoly. Understanding of a deen is from Allah. The Prophet said, "Man yuridillahu bihi khayra yufaqihuhu fid-din." Whoever Allah wants good for him, He gives him an understanding of the religion. And amongst the early Muslims, amongst the Sahaba and Tabi'in, many of the scholars were free slaves. Hasan al-Basri, free slave. Qatada, free slaves. Ahmad Yasser, family was slaves. He was a free slave. His parents were free slaves. Some Umar says Bilal was a free slave. So Osama was the son of a free slave. In fact, they used to complain during the time after the time at the time of Ali, that so many of the imams of the masajid and teachers, they were free slaves. Don't mean it's better than you free slave. People who free slave tend to understand the landscape better because it was a slave. It was a slave. I've been a slave. I'm used to feeding you, taking care of you, doing all that you. Know how you poop and all that kind of stuff. So you're able to take on the religion. It's always that way. That's why in America, I mean, nowhere else in the world have you seen a whole population of people coming to Islam the way that we have. Don't make us better Muslims. I'm just saying, no, it just means that we have to understand the landscape that we are living in, the environment we are living in, the situational reality that we are living in. That's deen. So we didn't always think like that. And sometimes we don't think like it now. We know from experience that sectarianism don't work. It don't work in America. It don't work. I'm going to tell you why. And I wrote articles about this. The only religion that will endure in the United States of America, especially amongst Black American converts to Islam, is the original brand of religion of Rasulullah. I swear to God. That's the only one that everything else fades out. I know some people used to be a Salafi, used to be a Sufi, used to be a Qadri, used to be Ash'ari. Used to be Maturidi. Used to be Al Hadith. I'm tired. I've been around for a while. Don't make me better. This means I can see the past. I remember when the Ansar law came to Philly. I remember. We used to have some serious. Not maybe there was other brothers too, but when they came to here's the argument. You know. I remember when Salafism hit in Philadelphia. I remember. I wrote a book about it. I remember when Georgetown Avenue Master started. Before he came in there, we were in there, put the drywall at the same building. I'm just saying, we have history. We have history. Other people have history. You learn from history. There's more ex-Salafis today than there are Salafis. I used to be a Salafi. Used to be. So you want to save people the time. We know sectarianism tend to not last amongst us. I know so many brothers became Sufi first. You Sufi, right? What kind of Sufi? I don't know. I'm Sufi. Okay. There's nothing wrong with being a Sufi. Many of our ulama were Sufi. But they were Sufi that followed a tariqah, that followed a path, and they followed the law. They had certain discipline within that. Sufism is for discipline. It's for religious discipline. That's how it started. Discipline. So if you're just following a certain methodology that's based on kitab, based on sunnah, based on dhikrullah, you stick with it. So the whole idea is to not get drawn from this, because you don't want to be like you in a shopping mart, you in Walmart. Ooh. A new word come out. Ooh. I'm saying. I remember brothers always saying, I'm Ahlus Sunnah wal Jumu'ah, man. Yeah, I get that. I get that. Not even knowing that Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, it's legitimate terminology. It came about start as a political term, not an Islamic term. It was a political term. It was a group that were against Ali and his Shia, his group. Shiism came from Shia to Ali. Shia means group. So there was a lot of argument amongst the Muslims then, right? And so they decided, it's okay, we're the Ahl Sunnah and we are Jama'ah. And they ain't Jama'ah. They by themselves. And that's when you start, no, seriously, that's how you start to see a separation between Sunni Islam and Shia Islam. It was very much politics. Nothing to do with deen, but if you say for identification, fine, but don't build your deen around that. Your deen is built about Tawheed and the 5 principles of Islam. The Prophet when he said, Bunya Islam ala khamsin. Islam is built on 5 things. First, I was talking with a friend of mine the other day. Because the Akida wars is so crazy. I'm not saying Akida is not important. Akida is not important. I'm not saying it. But the Akida of the Prophet is sufficient. It's sufficient. That's enough. We were talking about somebody who says, La ilaha illallah. So what about his concept of Allah? What's his concept, man? Listen, man. You can't get to the person's head to figure out how do you perceive Allah in your mind. You can't do that. There's no permission for that. There's no sharia for that. The Prophet said, he says, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, asimu minni, his blood and his wealth. Islam. The Prophet just said, you must, okay, right? You accept that, but what you do, what we don't do. See, you take a person's word for it. Muslim, that's fine. But we have law between us. And see, we don't practice any law. We practice Islam in a very dysfunctional way, without imams, without law, without protocol, without adab, without character, without rules. And that's what makes it disjointed. Because in Islam, okay, we all but you guys, you know, you did this wrong, but you Muslim, this is where you get married. This is where we get divorced. Pay zakat. But the Prophet was like this, okay. Say Muslims, we ain't getting into the details. Do you got this zakat? That's Prophet. The Prophet used to tell people when he sent them out on missions, because he said many times he sent Sahaba out on missions to go throughout the earth, because they were trying to establish Islam. He said, and he would tell the troops, come into the village at Fajr time. Come at Fajr. If you hear the adhan, keep on moving. You don't hear the adhan, attack. He was big on that. In the verse, إِذَا جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَإٍ فَتَبَيَّنُوا أَن تُصِيبُوا قَوْمًا بِجَهَالَةٍ فَتُصْبِحُوا عَلَى مَا فَعَلْتُمْ نَادِمِينَ. When that verse came down, and so to Hujurat, that was because there was a tribe who had came to Islam and promised the Prophet, we got the zakat. And the Prophet sent one of the companions to go collect the zakat. And that companion, because he had an issue with those tribes before, he came back and lied to him, but then he got the zakat. They want to attack me. So the Prophet immediately sent an army. And And the tribe came with the money and said, hey, we got the money right here. So the verse came down, إِذَا جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَإٍ فَتَبَيَّنُوا. If a corrupt person comes to you with information, clarify it before you do something to people out of ignorance. And during the time with Abu Bakr, Abu Bakr's thing was this. He said, when the prophet died, a lot of tribes said, listen, you ain't the prophet. So we down for Deen, but we ain't giving you no zakat because you ain't the prophet. And Abu Bakr said, it was a long story, make a long story short, he waged war against them. He waged war. And at first the Sahaba didn't even agree with him because they were still fighting Musaylim, the false prophet. They were fighting him. And Abu Bakr said, no, we gotta fight these people. He says, in men are only iqalan kanu yu'addunaha ila Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam laqatabtuhum. He says, if they hold back to me one iqal is the thing you use to tie a camel up, when you tie it to the rail. If they hold back one iqal from me, they used to give to the Prophet, so we're gonna fight them over that. Because in Islam, you live by law. Sometimes, you have no choice but to be with the community. Everybody should have an imam. I'm not advocating imam. I'm about being a good imam. Or any imam. Any masjid that is the imam, maintain order. It may not be the way you want it to be. It may not be perfect. But our history has shown that children who are attached to masajid tend to grow up Muslim. That's just it. Just know. Nothing for you. Go anywhere. I was praying at the masjid yesterday. It was Maghrib time. And the masjid was, the door was closed. So we all out there waiting, So brother Sadiq, you guys know, he would come by. This man knew called my son. I never met his son, but he had a son. He came with the king. Bam. That's my son. I know him. I haven't seen him in like 20-some years till last night. I was so happy that this generation continuity, man. Right? That's what it does. That's what it does. Because the generation coming after you, they'll have an easier time in understanding the religion. They're gonna still have the challenges. That's gonna always be there. Everybody gonna be tested. The Lord says, "Ahasiba an-nasu an yutraku an yaqulu amanna wa hum la yuftanun." Do people think they'll be left alone to say they believe without being tested? You're going to get the test. That always happens. The trial and error, the fail the test sometimes, that happens. You know you do about that. The thing about what you do is that we're concerned for us as a civilization. So there has to be a certain amount of civilizational management. Think in terms of civilization. So don't think in terms of yourself. Think in terms of you passing the baton. I got the baton. What am I doing? I'm running with it. That's what striving. That's what the jihad is from. Allah says, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ ثُمَّ لَمْ يَرْتَابُوا وَجَاهَدُوا بِأَمْوَالِهِمْ وَأَنفُسِهِمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الصَّادِقُونَ. Also, the very believers are those who believe in the law and his messenger. ثُمَّ لَمْ يَرْتَابُوا. And then after that, they don't have any doubt. And they strive in the path of Allah with their wealth and their selves. Jihad mentioned in the Quran, sometimes it means fighting. Many times it don't mean fighting. It means striving. That's what the word means. Strong. As I'm saying, we should be thankful that we ain't got to fight. Alhamdulillah. I don't want to fight nobody. I will if I have to. You know? And even then, whether you win or lose, and you win, you do something. But our striving is in with our money. We have to be willing, as Muslims in America, be willing to spend your money on Muslim infrastructure. That means education for kids, maybe not at school, maybe close to it. I think I got Jumu'ah scouts in Philly, but I'm so, oh man, it's a phone. Whew. My son, my grandson, my other son, they was all in Jumu'ah scouts. It's one of the best programs. I mean, this is one program. For different messages, they had Jumu'ah scouts. That's Muslim Boy Scouts. I mean, them boys come up big Muslim. And when they get older, like they remember, he was a scout. They in their 30s, got kids here, a scout. It's not from the scouts. It's a different type of brotherhood. There's that familiarity. There's that familiarity with one another. That's another layer of brotherhood. I mean, we start talking about brotherhood. I'm just saying, when you're handling a Muslim civilization, their responsibilities on the adults in maintaining that civilization. It's the right of the children, so we can push them to the next generation of Islam. وليسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب واستغفروه إنه غفور رحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. To close up this Khutbah, I hope I communicated the message here. Because what I'm trying to say is that everybody's not going to see the covenant. You have to understand, this religion is about covenant and contract. It's about covenant and contract. The Prophet believed in covenant and contract. Ibrahim was the one who established that middle, that path. And Allah said to him, because before Ibrahim, there was no masajid. Before Ibrahim, all the prophets that came before him, there was no system. He built the first masjid. That was the Kaaba. He's the first one who had law established in writing. We follow particular things. Ibrahim established Khatan, the circumcision. He established the Eid. That's why the Prophet was commanded to follow Millat Ibrahim. Many verses in the Quran, اتبعوا ملة إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين. Ibrahim was Hanif. Hanif means inclined towards what's right in basic things. He was basic. He was basic. And that's the religion that the Prophet was commanded to follow. And that's who Allah handed him the covenant of Islam. Other prophets were under covenant, but not like the covenant of Ibrahim. That's when law established, okay, this is the law. And he said to Ibrahim in the Quran, Inni ja'aluka linnasi imaman. I'm going to make you an imam. Means somebody that people follow you. You're going to establish a system, Ibrahim. You can establish a program. He said, وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي, he said, what about my progeny? The Lord said, لَا يَنَالُ أَحْدَ الظَّالِمِينَ. He says, the wrongdoers, they won't be able to reach with the covenant. And very much in Bani Israel, it was about covenant. And they came to Yusuf in the jail. He said, إِنِّي تَرَكْتُ مِلَّةَ قَوْمٍ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَهُمْ بِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ كَافِرُونَ. He says, they first came to him in the jail, in the prison. And so to Yusuf, it's right there. First thing he said, wait, before I ask you a question, I don't follow the path. I don't follow the millah of the people who don't believe in the hereafter and don't believe in the law. And neither should we. Neither should we. You got people in our community, I mean, we black people. Not all of us, and it's not about race. But we got not kufin in our culture. People shout at Diddy. You've been making music like that for decades. Telling people to freak off. That's what they're teaching. We don't follow that. You can still be black, help black people, but you can't be about black religion in a dominant culture. Because that gets to our children. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات وألف بين قلوبنا واجعل في قلوبنا الإيمان والحكمة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. ونصلي ونبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله عظيم يذكركم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. أقيموا الصلاة يرحمكم الله.